in case you are an investor, you're trying to create a affordable rental properties in Hamilton, about $11 million available. I'm going to be sharing information with you, and also something exciting about what is happening, where the opportunities are, what are the different strategies we are just utilizing in this market. This market is changing rapidly. Not everything works what used to work. And a lot of good stuff. And let's get cracking. Once again, welcome. I'm so happy that you made it. I want to say thank you to all of you for your valuable time. Welcome to Pre-Canada. This is some of the new stuff you might have seen now. We are going to have the picture of the speaker as we go along every time. I know some of you may not recognize the speakers. This is the first time we put it on, but again, I hope you like it, and at least you get to know who are you talking to. So next time you see me, if I ask you how you doing, all you have to do is bubble heads. I'm totally very, very good. Please make fun of me every time you see it. At least you should have good laughter. That'll be helpful. A good laugh is one of the best medicine ever, especially during this time. Though. Moving forward, a little disclaimers. It's illegal to operate as a mortgage broker, real estate broker, or security without your properly licensed. It may be illegal to charge a finder fee, or charge a commission, or charge a referral fee unless you hold an appropriate license. Very important. However, it's legal to buy property and sell a property. It's also legal to assign a property or a contract which you have obtained to purchase a real estate property for a price. You also may charge assignment fees. That's perfectly good. Caveat, enter do your due be careful. Always seek the advice of your what? Lawyer. Very important part of it. In writing if possible. Moving forward, legal information, all the information strategy we're going to be sharing with you, they are general source information. We have all the capable professionals. They are going to share their expertise. You're welcome to call them up and seek their advice as we go along. Though every information we're going to be sharing with you, we are not responsible for it. We're going to move forward to the next one. Now, I'm going to bring my good friend, Rory Sheehan, one of the best-selling author and 5 times the winner of Reader's Choice Trainer of the Year. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Rory Sheehan. Rory, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay, thanks, Natav. Thanks for inviting me again. I guess this is the 3rd or 4th time that I've come out to your group. Natav and I have been friends for, I think my kids were just little when you and I first met. We actually went out to one of your fundraisers. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, you raised the money for 6 children's hospital. We raised the money for over 26 years.
Yeah.
And every year we raise over more than $5,000. And thank you, Sheehan. That was greatly appreciated, my friend.
Yeah, it was fun. My kids remembered it. It was a long time ago, but they still remember it. So it was a very special evening. Thanks. So what we were talking about is I'm going to stop by once a month and just share some ideas. They're going to be different ideas each month. The intention is to get you thinking in a different way and hopefully help you step out of your box so that you can expand your comfort zone. Today, I just wanted to share some ideas. These actually came from my kids. So they were always talking about how we hold kids to a higher standard than we hold ourselves. And they started giving me examples. So I wanted to share with you some of the examples that you may have said to your kids, and maybe as adults, we should be following them ourselves. So if you think about the songs that we teach our kids when they're young, the first one that comes to mind is from Pinocchio, the Walt Disney version of Pinocchio. And if you think about the song that Jiminy Cricket sings in the movie, I'm not going to sing it because that would just be very awkward. But the words of the song is, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. And to me, that's the essence of goal setting. So it makes no difference who you are once you set a goal. So if you want to start flipping properties and that's your goal, it makes no difference who you are. Everybody has that opportunity. And what Jiminy Cricket goes on to say is, anything your heart desires will come to you. And the way I interpret that is that you have to get emotionally engaged in the goal you want to achieve. If you say, yeah, it'd be nice to flip some properties, yeah, it'd be nice to make some money, yeah, it'd be nice to do that, and there's no emotional engagement, then the opportunities are not going to come to you in the same way. So we want to think about Jiminy Cricket, and we want to think about, it really makes no difference who we are. Anything our heart desires, anything that we get emotionally engaged with will come to us. And if you've ever studied anything around the law of attraction, that's really the essence of a law of attraction, is vibrate at that frequency, or whatever frequency you're vibrating at will come to you. Another interesting movie that Walt Disney put out was Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. And I think this relates to what a lot of you guys are doing in this program. If you have ever heard the song in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, there ain't no trick to get rich quick. If you dig, dig, dig with a shovel and a pick in a mine where 1,000,000 diamonds shine. That's essentially a summary of business. There's no get rich quick scheme. What Natavi's going to show you is a system that he's used and perfected over the years. And, you know, I know firsthand, shared with a lot of people that have done very well. So there's no get rich quick scheme. He's going to show you a system that's tested and proven effective. And then he goes on, well, you know, the song goes on to say there's ain't no trick to get rich quick if you dig, dig, dig with a shovel and a pick. And what's that saying? You need the appropriate tools. So you need the skills, you need the knowledge, you need the information, you need the mentoring. So you need the appropriate tools. And then you need to go into your target market where 1,000,000 diamonds shine. So there's no magic trick here. We just have to think about these lessons we're teaching our kids, that if you work hard in your target market and you've got the right knowledge, the right mentors, the right support, then you're going to get rich. There's no get rich quick scheme. You're going to be able to do it in a very systematic way. And the last song that I wanted to share with you today was the Incy Wincy Spider. I don't know if you remember the song from when your kids were little, but the song basically is it's about a spider that wants to get up the water spout, and down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun, dried up all the rain, and the Incy Wincy Spider went up the spout again. And that whole song is teaching our kids about setting a goal, getting to the top of the water spout, and understanding stuff happens. There's nothing we can do. Down came the rain. There's nothing we can do about the rain. And it washed the spider out, and it threw him off course from achieving his goal. Well, did the spider give up? Did the spider say it's not meant to be? I can't do this. It's too hard. Did he come up with a whole bunch of excuses? Or did he pick himself up, dry himself off, and head back up the water spout towards achieving his goal? So we teach our kids these ideas, and then quite often we forget them as adults. And we come up with great excuses for not doing what we want to do. And we come up with great excuses for following a different path. And we often say, well, you know, I know what they're saying, but I can do it better my way. So why don't we just, for today, why don't we think about the lessons that we teach our children and hold ourselves to a standard like we would hold our kids to, and be persistent and set goals and believe in our heart that we're going to achieve those goals, and work with somebody who has a proven system, and work with somebody as a mentor who's going to help us achieve those goals and make the whole process a lot easier. So it's not complicated. What we're suggesting is that you follow the same advice that you give your kids. So if anybody's interested, I do have a Facebook group where I post little videos, or there's only about a minute long. And I'll post the address. It doesn't cost anything to join, and you're welcome to join. And each month I'll come back and share some different ideas. I think we're going to be doing some longer sessions at some point around how to get your mind engaged in goals so you stop self-sabotaging, and really help you guys move forward. So I hope this thought today was helpful, and I hope that for the rest of the day, you hold yourself to the same standard you'd hold your kids to, and remember the songs that we taught our kids when they're young. So thanks for inviting me out, and best of luck with flipping for profit. Thanks.
Thanks, Rory. Those who want to talk to Rory's going to be hanging in for a while. He's going to be in that chat box. If you want to talk to him privately or in person, or you want to get his name and number, just go to chat and you can chit chat with him. Rory, thank you once again. I'll see you next time on December 12th.
Thanks.
On this meeting here. All right. Thank you so much once again, Rory. I hope you guys learned a little bit lesson. Rory is person. He has a very unique way of teaching things, things you will remember from the childhood, all those poems, all those lullabies and so on. Incredible, incredible. Once again, thank you, Rory. And let's move forward with our next guest speaker. Our next guest speaker is Jeff, is principal lawyer of, I'm sorry, forgive me, Jeff, if I do not pronounce your last name properly. I know it's a French, but I will try my very best. And he's been published many articles, known for his forward thinking. And one of the best things I like about him is one of this thing, client experience. And that's the most important thing for them. And they provide quality legal service. That's the key. And they always, always surpass your expectations. Having all that, on top of that, all the knowledge and expertise and the name he earned in this industry, especially in the province of Ontario, he is known as mortgage enforcer. Is that correct, Jeff?
Thank you, Navtaj. I would probably say I will accept that.
All right.
Okay.
Now it's all yours, Jeff. It's all yours now.
May I share my screen?
Please go ahead. I'm not too sure if you can. I don't think, I'm not sure how you can share the screen with me. We are on a different, sorry. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty new to the Zoom as well, by the way.
Okay, so if you look at down at the bottom, you'll see that there's video, and then there's a little arrow. If at the bottom in the left-hand corner, it says mute, it says stop video, and then there's a little arrow. So you select that arrow.
Right.
And then it should say, oh, no, sorry, it's wrong. It's on the other side. It says share screen. So along the bottom, you'll see a green one that says share screen.
Right.
Next to that, there's a little arrow, and then multiple participants can share. Okay, perfect. Got it. We're good. I've got it set up.
All right.
Perfect. Okay. So I appreciate everybody having me today. Let me just get this set up. And how do we do this? So my name is Jeff Rabideau, and today I'm going to be talking about mortgage enforcement solutions. Correct way to say it is French, my last name, so it's Rabideau. If you translate it, it works out to something like rapid water, because O is EAU is water. So it's a very old name. So yeah, but you're right, Navtaj, very French. So
right.
I do speak French and English. Born and raised in Ontario though, so I'm predominantly English. So today what I'm presenting on is mortgage enforcement solutions. We're going to talk about recent developments and how it has affected defaults and the power of sale process. Now, what we're looking at, of course, here is some of the things that we've seen happen during the last few months because of COVID. So I'm the principal lawyer at Rabideau Law. I've been practicing for about 12 years. I'm a real estate lawyer, and my firm, we practice real estate, but we also represent a lot of private lenders, a lot of mortgage investors, a lot of mix, mom and pop investors. So we've got quite the range of clientele. Now, over that 12 years, I've completed over 10,000 real estate transactions. So we are a high volume real estate law firm. We're in the top 10% of all lawyers across Canada in terms of volume in 2019 and 2020. And we're this year, I'm number 8 in terms of volume in the country. We're all about the client experience, and we're obviously making sure that our clients, the ones that we represent, be it the buyer, the seller, or the investor, or our MIC clients, our lending clients, we want to make sure that they all have a great experience. I think that's our predominant goal, as Navtaj mentioned. Thank you very much. We want to make sure that we represent our clients properly. All right. And I think that's indicative of our Google rating. If you go to Google, you'll see we have a 4.8 Google rating, and mostly everybody just raves about our reviews. And the other thing is, what we did is years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, we actually customized and pioneered the remote signing process, which meant that we would actually send out a commissioner to meet up with our clients in order to sign the documents. Now, the commissioner would attend at their home. I or one of my associates would attend on video conferencing software such as Zoom, and we'd walk the clients through the signing documents. So it allowed us to expand our business right across Ontario. So we're an Ontario law firm. We can do real estate deals anywhere in Ontario. With the advent of COVID, we then turn to the virtual signing, and we have our own software that allows our clients to sign directly on their phones in front of a lawyer or such as myself or one of my associates. So in that instance, we had the contactless service, but we've been able to take it even to the extent where clients needed it. What happened, obviously, once COVID happened, is everything changed, right? So as the content in this whole presentation, there was a disclaimer at the beginning. I'm going to provide my own disclaimer. You cannot use anything I say and rely on it as legal advice. Okay, I am a lawyer, but you can't rely on anything I say from this presentation. So what we're looking at is typically in the process, one of your biggest concerns, obviously, you guys are lenders, you know this, is a default, right? And your default of your clients. Now, I suspect you potentially some of you had some defaults over this last process. By a show of hands, who has noticed who have had a default throughout the COVID process? Hands up, please. Wow, okay, you're all pretty good. Perfect. Either no one wants to raise their hand or nobody had a default in the entire process, which is great to hear. So congratulations, that's really good. It shows you guys are doing proper investments. We have had, sorry, there was one. So we did have one person that had a default. So sorry to point you out there, but yeah, thanks for offering the truth there. So what we're looking at is, let's talk about the process. Now, I don't know if any of you have been through the entire process. Now, this presentation is probably about 30 minutes, but it's very in-depth. I'm going to give you the entire process from beginning to end, helping you understand exactly each step, what happens, the timelines for each steps, and also based on that, what you can do as the lender, okay? Or who you can approach in order to help you throughout the process to get you out of the process easier. So the most common events of default are failure to maintain adequate property insurance, failure to make a regular payment, failure to keep the premises in a reasonable state of repair, failure to pay property taxes, and using the property for an illegal or criminal purposes. Those are the standard ones. The most common one is failure to make the payment, of course. So upon the default, normally you as the lender would reach out to the borrower and say, hey, in writing, you send them a notification, what's called a demand letter, saying, please pay up. You have 7 days or so to pay up. Now, you're typically supposed to give them 15 days notice, okay? And once you give them the notice, if they haven't brought the mortgage up, if they haven't brought the default, cure the default, in that case, you can start looking at what your other procedures are. So remember, it's 15 days to start, okay? Then after that, you can look at either the power of sale process or the foreclosure process. So the power of sale process is the one that is more prevalent and common. So a power of sale it's initiated under the Mortgages Act. And in the power of sale, the lender steps into the shoes of the registered owner and has the ability to sell the property. After the property is sold, the former homeowner will receive any of the money that's left over after everybody's been paid out. So, but because in a power of sale, the lender is stepping into the shoes, their purpose is just to take possession of the property and to sell it. So in that case, most lenders would rather just be paid out than having to go through this process. And I'm fairly certain you guys would all agree with that. Now, let's talk about the difference between a power of sale and a foreclosure. A power of sale process, the lender steps into the shoes, sells the property. With a foreclosure, the lender takes possession and ownership of the property. So with a power of sale, title doesn't transfer. It stays in the homeowner's name, and the lender takes possession, sells it. With a foreclosure, the lender steps in, takes the title, and therefore they don't have to sell it. They can do whatever they want with the property in a foreclosure situation. All right? The power of sale process pre-COVID typically took 6 months, and a foreclosure takes over a year. Post-COVID, I would say you double that. Power of sale typically can take upwards of a year, and then foreclosure upwards of 2 years. So the process we're going to talk about, you'll see here on this list. Default and demand, there's the issue of the notice of sale, issue and serve the statement of claim, you obtain the judgments, writs of possession, and then you file your writs of seizure and sale. You secure the property and you attorn any rent. So if you have renters, you say, hey, renters, you got to pay the money to me. You oversee the sale of the property. You convey the property. So real estate lawyers, we convey properties. So I convey properties. After that, if in the event there was insurance, you would submit the claims to the insurance to make sure that the mortgage insurers pay out on the claims. If there's any judgments, you can assign the judgments over if necessary. And after that, there's post-judgment deficiency. So if there's a deficiency, the writ of seizure and sale allows you to keep going after the borrower after the other assets. So if they have other properties, if they have bank accounts, anything such as that. So if there's a deficiency, you keep going after all those other items. So let's talk about this. Step one, and this is where we spend a lot of time on behalf of our lenders, is completing very thorough due diligence.
Jeff, do you have slides? As I only see your contact information.
Okay, yeah, perfect. I see that. So you guys don't see my slides, huh? Is it? My apologies. I see that. So let me just see. So what do you see?
Just your contact information. It says
Oh.
mortgage enforcement, and your contact information. That's it.
Okay. That's I'm gonna stop sharing. Oh, it's there. Okay, this will stop other screens sharing. Do you want to continue? Okay. Let's try this again then. Do you see this slide now? No?
No, just your contact information still.
Yeah, it says I am screen sharing. I don't know why it's not working.
No worries, you can continue.
Let me just try one more thing.
I can see the screen.
You see it?
Yes, I do.
It's interesting why some of you would see it and some don't. So do you see the screen that says due diligence on it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay.
Okay, maybe it's just me. I just maybe have to update my Zoom.
Go
ahead.
There's a
I have the latest version of Zoom and I see only your contact information as well.
Okay. So some people see it, some people don't. Let me see. Let me just try and share a different screen and see if you see that one. My apologies, everyone. Thank you for pointing this out. So let's see this one. Do you see that screen? Anything different?
Yes.
I don't.
No?
I see
We
due
don't see
diligence.
Due diligence, yes. Due diligence is what we want to see. Okay. So some people can see it, some people can't. I apologize. I don't know what to do in this instance to help
I
you
see.
if you
I
are
see.
unable to see
This
it.
is perfect
I see
now,
the
Jeff.
problem.
This is okay now.
Okay. With your
So
permission,
everyone can,
Now we can see it. It's a little delay, by the way. Just bear with it and it shows up on your screen.
yeah, if you are not seeing it, you can look at the top and then you can see it.
does everybody see that now?
Well, continue, Jeff, regardless. I think just go back again.
For those who can't see it, if you go to the top, it says view options and you can pick his screen.
Your mouse cursor has to be on your Zoom screen. And you'll
Got it. That helped. Thank you. I can
Perfect.
see it now.
Thanks, Mina. I appreciate it. I'm not the tech person. Okay, perfect. Now, does everybody have this screen? Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me know. I'm glad that worked out. All right. So the number one step is you got to do thorough due diligence, right? As the lender, you obviously don't want to put yourself in a situation where you don't know what's registered on title. You don't want to, obviously you got to get a thorough appraisal. You want to make sure how title is held. Is there only one person on title? If it's a matrimonial home, is there more than one person on title? What's registered on title? Is the mortgages, liens, security interests, CPLs? A CPL is called a certificate of pending litigation. And that means that property is involved in some litigation, some kind of legal action. You also want to determine who resides at the property. Is it the registered owner or tenants? Because if it is, those will be treated differently in the power of sale process. All right. After that, there's a need to issue the notice of sale. So the notice of sale is the document that starts the power of sale process. So previously there was the demand letter, right? So the demand letter, you know, you can deliver that at any time. Let's say you deliver 7 days after the default, 30 days after the default, next day after the default, doesn't matter. But with the notice of sale cannot be delivered until the mortgage has been default for at least 15 days. This is the legal document that starts the process. And the notice of sale has to be delivered either by personal service or registered mail to the last known address. And it must be delivered to the borrowers and any other parties that have an interest in the property. So the people that have interest in the property would be mortgage lenders, secured parties, lien holders, tenants, and the spouse, if it's a matrimonial home and the spouse is not on title. Now the notice of sale will indicate, borrowers, you guys have 35 days in order to cure the default, right? If in the event that default is not cured within 35 days, the lender will start the process and take the possession of the property and sell it. Now this 35-day period is called the redemption period. And this, some of you might have ever heard of this, the equity of redemption. Now this is the borrower's ability to repay and cure that default. Now, let's say if it's a missed payment, the default is the missed payment, plus the fees that are applicable to that missed payment. But if the mortgage has matured, then the default is the payout of the entire mortgage, not just missed payments. So the borrower then has the ability to bring that mortgage into good standing by curing those missed payments, or they have to pay off the entire mortgage if it has matured. So when the borrower is unable to cure the default or to pay off the mortgage as required, then at that point, once the 35 days has passed, the lender, through their lawyer, can issue a statement of claim. Now, the statement of claim is the document that initiates the process in the courts. Now, the court action, once the statement of claim is issued and served, the mortgagor has 20 days to file, the borrower has 20 days to file a statement of defense. Now, if the borrower does not file a statement of defense within 20 days, the lender can then, through their lawyer, and I'll say lender or lawyer, the lawyer, then what we do is we attend at the court and we get what's called a default judgment. Now, once we have the default judgment, that stops the process right there. That means at that point we have won. The borrower can no longer defend, and the borrower can no longer be even notified of the action. So upon receiving the default judgment, we then bring a motion in the courts, and what we're asking for is possession of the property, which is called a writ of possession, and this is issued and allows us to get the property. So what we do is we take that writ of possession, we go to the sheriff's office, and we deliver it to the sheriff's office. On our writ of possession, we're indicating what we want to possess. So it would be, in that instance, the property and or any bank accounts we know about. So the reason why we're after bank accounts is what we do is we always look at where their payments come from, their monthly payment, or whatever payments they've sent us. We want to keep track of those checks that they sent us, or at least their banking information, because those are the accounts where they have their money, because we want to go after those accounts to recoup any payments that are owing to us. Once the sheriff has received the writ of possession, they will then schedule a date to go out and take possession of the property. Now, this scheduled date can be upwards. I've seen it upwards of, most times it's about 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. It depends on how busy the sheriff is, and it also depends on COVID time. Everything's so different now with COVID time that everything's a little bit delayed. But the idea behind it is it's an opportunity to give the borrowers time to move out of the property. Now, once we take possession of the property, we then are liable for the property, all right? So typically at that point, most of my lending clients will hire a property manager to maintain the property. Now, the property management fees can range. I've seen them as low as 15 bucks a day, and I've seen them upwards of about $40 a day. And those amounts are added at the end to the power of sale process. So while the property is being maintained, because it's the liability of the lender, once you take possession of that property, it's your liability. So if a pipe burst or anything such like that, the lender's liable. So having a property management company take over this is a good idea. Some people don't though. Some people don't go through that process. They just turn everything off, but it depends on the time of year, of course. It also would be smart just to drive by or check the property every now and then if you're not going to have a property manager, just to make sure the property is in good state of repair. But the idea is we want to sell that property anyway. So it's not the most advantageous to board up the home and turn everything off, because you need to be in show quality in order to sell it. Now, once the property is sold, now speaking of this, when selling it, most realtors will charge a 6% fee to sell it because they know they can. They know there's typically enough equity in the sale of the home that they're going to sell it for a higher rate than the standard 4 to 5%. Most of them will increase that fee. And there will always be a clause in the agreement of purchase and sale, or there should always be a clause in the agreement of purchase and sale that says that the borrower has the ability to redeem the property up until closing. Okay, that's very important to know. The borrower can always come back, redeem that property up until the day before closing. So let's say you've got a firm agreement purchase and sale, the property's gone to the lawyer, it goes right up to the day of closing, and that borrower comes the very next day and pays out the default. They get the property at that point. So it's important to know that. So from this instance, if you have a borrower that is struggling, what I always like to say is be proactive. Introduce them to a mortgage broker, right? If they're defaulting on their payments, it's helpful to them because it's going to be helpful to you. Get them in touch with a new mortgage broker, or try and get them in touch with someone who can get them the money to pay you out. Because at the end of the day, it's not advantageous for you to sit and hold a property and try and sell it. You make more money getting your money back and getting it back out because you're going to get another lender fee. Your broker's getting another broker fee, right? You're going to get more money that way, faster turnaround than watching this property sit there to be sold, okay? You still will get per diem interest. So you're not losing on it, but it's just you're not making quick lender fees as you could be doing, right? So it's advantageous. Be proactive. If your borrowers are struggling, try and help them out to get them out of the situation faster. Now, once a property is sold, the proceeds of the sale are paid out in the following fashion. Property tax arrears and condo arrears are paid out first. After that, any costs that you as the lender cover, such as a property management, lawyer fees, real estate commissions, those are covered. Then after that, the lender, the principal and interest is paid. And then after that, any subsequent mortgages, lien holders, claims, execution creditors. And if there's still any money left over at that point, then that money will go to the former home owner. So if you see, it gets pretty costly. Property management fees, increased realtor fees can eat up everything pretty fast. So from a homeowner's perspective, it's better that they get involved and try and get you the money sooner and get out of the process than it is letting the process go all the way to the end. The other side of it is if they get involved quicker, it protects their credit rating, which makes it easier for them to get credit to get out. If this process continues to go on, their credit is going to get dinged every single time, and it goes through the process. So when the writ of possession is provided to the sheriff, a notation goes out to Equifax and TransUnion, letting them know there's a default judgment and there's a writ of possession. At that point, that's when their credit really takes a hit. So the idea is if they can get out before that, it helps them, but at the same time, it helps you as the lender, gets them out quicker, okay? Just so you guys know that. Now, when buying under power sale, so this is talking about the people that you can sell to. So you seriously have to take your obligations serious when selling under power sale. You can't turn around and just sell it to your cousin or a friend or a business partner for below market value. Most lenders will obtain 2 appraisals and a current market analysis before selling the property. And typically you should be selling for the higher of the 3 numbers, okay? And most lenders will not sell to related parties or parties purchasing on behalf of the former borrower. The reason why you don't want to sell to someone who's purchasing on behalf of the former borrower is because you know what's going to happen. They're just buying the property for that borrower. The borrower's going to be the one making the payments again. The borrower's going to default again, right? So you have an obligation to sell the property for the most money possible, but you also have an obligation and to take care of yourself and not sell it to someone who is going to just give it back to the former homeowner. Now, this is very important. When selling, you are selling the property as is, meaning if there's any title problems, if there's any property description problems, any zoning, planning act, structural issues, work orders, anything such as that, you are selling as is. And the agreement purchase and sale would say that, and there'd be clauses in there indicating as is, no adjustments, nothing is being provided. So imagine this. If your mortgage is in first place or second place, and then let's say there's mortgages which are behind yours, subsequent, then those mortgages, provided that there's enough money, will be paid out. However, if there's not enough money, then the new purchaser has to deal with those, right? or the former homeowner has to deal with those, because then at that point, they're going to go after that former homeowner. That's why when you're looking at investing, loan to value is probably the most important number you're going to think about. Loan to value, right? That's so important from an investor standpoint. Now, subsequent construction liens and common liens. Now, the lien claimant is so construction liens will not be deleted from the parcel register from the title if they're transferred under power of sale, unless they're paid out from the proceeds. Otherwise, those will stay on title, just as I mentioned. So any people that are purchasing have to deal with those. Now, as I mentioned, and this is very important, under the Mortgages Act, Section 22, a mortgage may be redeemed at any point prior to the sale, right? So the courts have said a sale means a firm and binding agreement of purchase and sale. However, mortgage lenders, it is prevalent, prudent, and smart to put a clause in because it has been challenged in the courts. And what happens is purchasers know this. The former homeowner has the ability to redeem that mortgage, pay out the default prior to the day of closing. And it has been well accepted across the industry that that's the acceptable format, okay? So make sure if in the event you're going through this process, there should be a Schedule B or C added to your agreement of purchase and sale, which has all the power of sale clauses in there, including that they have the ability to redeem the property up until the day of closing. Now, it gets a little bit more difficult when there are tenants in the property, because a tenant under the Residential Tenancy Act stays with the property. So if a rental property is taken under power of sale, the rental property is sold as a rental property. It doesn't, you then don't have the ability as the lender to remove the tenants. They are protected under the Residential Tenancies Act, okay? Now, there's a difference between tenants and occupants or boarders. A tenant is someone who does not, who rents the whole entire property or a unit in the property that is separate. A boarder is someone who lives with the homeowner. So a boarder or an occupant is someone who shares a kitchen or a bathroom. If they're sharing it, then at that point you could kick them out at the same time. Evict, you don't have to evict them. You just remove them at the same time as you remove the homeowner, because they're not protected under residential tenancies. And that's important for you guys to remember. If someone shares kitchen or bathroom, they are not protected under residential tenancies, okay? Also, if the tenants are on a month-to-month lease, meaning typically most people are on a one-year lease, and that one-year lease then expires, then after that it's month-to-month, right? You may sometimes bring an application to have them removed. Now the Landlord-Tenant Board is going through a dramatic changing process in Ontario. Doug Ford is bringing in some changes, which under Bill 184, and the goal behind that is to make it easier for landlords to get tenants evicted and to remove them, all right? But that's another presentation if you guys want to have me back. Now, how to terminate a tenant under the Residential Tenancies Act. So the most common grounds used to terminate are for non-payment of rent, interference with the lawful right and privileges or interests of the landlord. And that one would be triggered if in the event that they stop you from showing the property. So let's say you take possession of the property, you want to show it for sale, and they won't let your agent on to sell the property. Well, in that case, they are breaching the lease, and you can then at that point bring in action to have them removed. However, here's the important thing. The Landlord and Tenant Board right now has a moratorium on evictions. So even if you started the process, you cannot get a tenant removed right now. It's just the way the process is right now under COVID time. So here's a suggestion. If this happens, what I'm telling my lending or my landowner clients is buy the tenant out. It's a numbers game, right? It's a numbers game. If in the event you have to get someone out, pay them out, right? You're going to sell the property probably for more than you would having those tenants in there. So very often I just tell my clients, offer them first and last month's rent at the next place, right? Just get them out. If they don't take it, increase it a bit. See how much they'll take to get them out. And these costs you can claim under the power of sale process. Next, now there are other options. Let's say you have sold the property under power of sale and the new purchaser wants to live in the property. Well, then the new purchaser can bring an application to the Landlord and Tenant Board saying, hey, we want to live in that property. or if their spouse is going to live in the property, or one of their children, or a parent are going to live in the property, or a caregiver of one of those people are going to live in the property. However, once again, there is a moratorium on evictions in the landlord tenant board. So if you can turn around, if it's a rent property, you can turn around and sell it and let the new purchaser deal with it, even better. Now let's talk about commercial tenancies. I don't know if anybody here does commercial lending. So when we're looking at commercial tenancies, a subsequent lease is not binding on a prior mortgage. Remember that. A lease that is entered into after your mortgage is not binding. So if your mortgage came before, then you can terminate that tenant and get rid of them without notice. That's the great thing about commercial tenancies. You can terminate a tenancy without even notice. Just give them a, say, hey, you're out tomorrow. And the landlord and tenant board does not deal with commercial tenancies. So in this case, commercial lending is still a wide open free space for that. Now, if there's an existing lease that was registered prior to the mortgage, and what registered means a notice of lease has been registered on title, then the mortgage lender is bound by that lease, provided notice of leasehold interest has been registered and the term of the lease is there's 3 years or less remaining on it, or the lease is only 3 years less, right? In those instances. Now, if the lease is not registered, a notice of leasehold interest is not registered on title, then once again, it doesn't matter. It still can be, this tenant can still be removed. Now, it's important to notice, I have not seen, and I've seen, well, let me say this. In the last 12 years, every lease I review pretty much has a clause saying no notice of leasehold interest is allowed to be registered on title. So this really doesn't apply because landlords don't allow tenants to register anything on their title anymore. I still have seen some register on title, but pretty much every lease says you're not supposed to register on title. Now, let's say there is a tenant, and let's say you actually want to keep the tenant, or you can't get rid of the tenant. In this case, you can what's called a torn rent, which means you inform the tenant that they have to pay the rent directly to you. Now, what we talked about so far has been what we've seen in the process. Does anybody have any questions on the process? Because I'm going to quickly talk about what I've seen numbers-wise prior and during COVID. Any people have questions on the process?
You're welcome to type in the chat box, please, if you like. Jeff, you don't mind looking at the chat if you can, please?
I've got it open, thank you.
All right, otherwise, what we will do is when the presentation is over, you will have another opportunity to speak to Jeff either by online here or just by chatting.
What time in process does credit get affected? Great question. Okay, so it depends. So the question is, what time in the process does the borrower's credit get affected? So here's the thing. If it's an institutional lender, it gets affected with every missed payment. So for instance, if it's, let's say the lender's CIBC, the moment they have a missed payment, they'll get an R1 or an L1, right? Their credit will get hit right away, okay? And it'll go each month successively up to typically R6, L6, right? Now, if it's a private, now that's the institutional lender. Now, private lenders, most time private lenders don't submit anything on a monthly basis to their credit reporting agencies. So in those instances, they'll get a ding on their credit report when the writ of possession is filed with the sheriff, and that's called the default judgment. At that point, that's when the most damage, that's when the notation will hit the credit report. Okay, does that help? Any other questions? No. So the writ of possession is issued, the property still can be recovered. So the property can be recovered all the way up to the very end, right? So the borrower can cure the default and pay out and redeem the property right up to the end, the day before closing. Is there any way the power sale proceedings can be initiated and the credit report the borrower not get dinged? Yes. If it's a private lender, you can initiate the power of sale proceedings, and they won't affect their credit until the default judgment has been registered, right? So if you imagine you have a default, You have 15 days of the default. You then give a notice of sale on day 15 or day 16. They then have 35 days. So now you're up to 50 days. It's still not affecting their credit. The notice of sale, right? And then you do the statement of claim, which is another 20 days. You're now up to 70 days, still has not affected the credit, right? Then after that, this is where if they haven't defended, you know, so 70 days, they haven't done anything, then at that point you get your default judgment. So if you imagine for 70 days, their credit is unaffected if it's a private lender, right? So from your perspective as a lender, it's still worthwhile to go through the process, get a lawyer involved and go through the process because they have 2.5 months. They have 2.5 months before the credit gets affected. But you're better off to get action and leverage in the process, right? Because here's the important part. If they're missing payments to you, they're missing payments to other people too, right? So if they're missing payments to their creditors, then that's the concern because their creditors will also be bringing an action. The biggest one also is if they're missing payments to you and let's say they're self-employed, then they're missing payments to HST because HST is the one thing that all self-employed or people that get behind on. It is the killer of businesses, right? So therefore, it does not behoove you to wait and give the person time because you're not going to affect their credit for 70 days. It's in your best interest to get going quickly on the process as soon as they miss their payment, start the process and move on them and explain to them and have a good conversation with them or send them to a lawyer who knows and have a good conversation with them saying, hey, here's your process. The other side is I'll gladly provide this presentation, right? I think this presentation is actually up on my website. So I'll provide you the link on my website here. This presentation is up on my website. So if in the event you have someone who's going through this process, it's worthwhile to have them read this blog or watch the process, and then they understand what's going to happen to them and how much time. Okay. Now, continuing on. So this is talking about the process. Now, here's what I've seen happening. So in January, and a lot of you might already know this, in January 1st, 2018, the new stress test came out. And this was where it changed the mortgage qualifying rules, okay? And it indicated that the mortgage rate plus 5.3% of the 5-year benchmark rate published by the Bank of Canada. It was then updated April 2019, and the new stress test was set at 2% points above the actual rate, okay? Now let's talk about, so this is, stress test is important, but let's talk about arrears. Now this is a very important graph. Hopefully everybody can see this. So what we see is in Ontario, in January, it starts in January 1990. And so you see there's a recession there in October to July of 1991. And as you see there, the mortgages in arrears went up because of that recession. And it went to 0.7%. So that's less than 1%. Less than 1%, 0.7%. Remember that. Then what we see October 2017, it went back down to 0.1. So the standard in Ontario is 0.1. 0.1 or 0.09 of 1%. So it's less than 1%. Our mortgages are in arrears. And that's why we got a great system here because most mortgages are not in arrears. So if you imagine 2017 to 2019, you'll see that there's always about 2 million mortgages in Ontario. And we see that the number of mortgages in arrears was about 1,700 when we're at 0.09. So if you imagine the recession of 0.07 was a recession, we're in a recession right now, right? So what we see then is our recession, the actual number of mortgages is about 1.3. So that's higher than the 0.9, or excuse me, 0.7. So based on that, if you think about it, a standard number of mortgages in arrears is about 1,900 to 1,700. So if you imagine, there's probably about 20,000 mortgages in arrears right now in Ontario, just in Ontario, 20,000 mortgages, okay, that are probably in arrears. That would be 1.3%, where normally we're only at 1/10 of 1%. We're now right now at about 1.3%. So that's a lot of mortgages in arrears. So my suggestion is always this: be proactive. If in the event you have a borrower who had very tight TDS, GDS qualifications, or if they had a very high loan to value, it might be worthwhile to follow up on them. It might be worthwhile to see how they're doing, especially if they are not an occupation that is called essential, especially if they don't have an exit strategy. Obviously, because when you're lending, loan to value, your LTV, and the exit strategy are your two most important things you should be thinking about. How am I going to get my money back from these people, right? You may have given them a 1-year term, but your goal is you want to get that money back from them as quick as possible. You don't want to go the whole 1-year term, or if you do, you at least want to figure out a way to get the money back after the 1-year term, especially if they're showing no ability to pay you back. And if they're only showing an ability that year over year, they're just providing you a lender fee and then continuing on the same path, right? So the idea is be proactive. Try and figure out, of the people you lent to, 1.3% of them are in trouble, right? It's not 0.1% anymore. It's 1.3% of the people that you've lent to are in trouble. So let's say you have 100 mortgages out there. That tells me that one of them, maybe though you don't know it yet, but one of them is in trouble, okay? Now it's still a small number, but if you look over time, right, the numbers, we do have SERP and all that. That's sort of keeping everything afloat. But sooner or later, everything's going to get caught up because those mortgage deferrals are not happening anymore from the mortgage lenders. Like the financial institutions were deferring payments. They're all clawing that back now, or all those plans should be coming to an end. The other side of this is the numbers are, the COVID numbers are going up again. And there is talk of another lockdown coming. I believe Doug Ford is going to be talking on Monday about the next step. And I bet you we're going to another lockdown. BC and Alberta and Manitoba have already gone to a second lockdown. Saskatchewan's considering it. So Ontario's on the way there. So proactively thinking about if there's someone who's going to have problems, you need to be thinking now, who is that person and what should I be looking at? Maybe there's a way to introduce them to a mortgage broker to get them out. Maybe there's a way that they can refinance their first mortgage. If you're the second lender, maybe they can refinance now. And because the interest rates are so good too at the other side, maybe you can entice them, say, hey, get me paid out, something like that, right? Be proactive, look at your book of business and figure out who is the liability that you don't want to be carrying, okay? Talks here about mortgage arrears comparison. So you see all those years, 0.1 or 0.09, very low. But like I say, right now we're at 1.3, dramatically higher. So as I mentioned, I'm a real estate lawyer. I do, I'm as top 10% in lawyers. I'm number actually 8 in the country. I represent a lot of lenders. I represent a lot of mix, and we represent our clients cradle to grave. So we actually do the lender representation. I have a network of lawyers that work with me, so we can actually on the other side do the borrower representation. So we don't have to have someone go to their own lawyer. If they don't have their own lawyer, they can go to their own lawyer, but if they don't have their own lawyer, we have borrower side representation also. And we have our own litigation department. We represent cradle to grave, meaning we can do the initiation of the lawyer all the way to the default and collection procedures, right to the end. We typically do, I would say, register about 30 to 35 new private mortgages a month. So I'm doing about 400 private mortgages a year. And then our fees here. So on a purchase side, we do just let's say someone's going to purchase property, $15.99. Now I'm a fixed fee lawyer. So we see here our $15.99 on our sales, it's $9.99. On our refis, it's $8.99, and a purchase and sale is $23.99. That's fixed fee pricing. We do remote signings, so that includes evening and weekends, and we do the virtual signing process, so the clients don't have to. It's contactless. They don't have to meet anybody in person. We do it through here. I have a software that's been accepted. It's been proven, and it's gone through the courts, and the courts have accepted my signing process and as a valid signing process. So any of the mortgages that we sign can't be defeated by the borrower saying, well, hey, I didn't sign this. No, we've got you. We actually record our meetings, video record them, and we actually have their IP address and their location stamp when they sign. So the entire process is protected, and the courts have accepted our process. And as you saw, what's indicative of our service on Google, we have an amazing service, I believe. Any questions? Yes, we do JV agreements. Yes, we also do assignments. So it would be, so there's two types of assignments. There's the assignment of the mortgage. So we call this a notice of mortgage. And that's $7.99 plus HST, which comes out to $902.87. And then we do assignments also, like, and that would be representation. We also do, the other side is assignments for agreements purchase and sale. So in that instance, we're representing, let's say someone purchases the property, they, let's say our purchaser then assigns it. We then are the middle between the purchase lawyer and the sale lawyer here. Yeah, we do also represent those. Those typically are $7.99 plus HST, also $902.87. Any other questions? Hey, David. Perfect.
David, you have any? Go ahead, please.
No, well, I'll be on here for a bit. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can get me on the chat.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Hi, Navtesh.
Welcome, David.
Hey, David.
Thank you.
Perfect. I will stop sharing.
All right. Thank you once again, Jeff. Really appreciate it. I want you to hang on for a while. Anybody got a question, please ask directly, or you want to openly talk. If you don't want to talk to him because it's online or on the chat, you want to be because of privacy, you have his phone number directly, 519-957-1001. Or if you don't have it handy, please feel free to call me, or David Grossman will be more than happy to give all the contact information of Jeff. And we'll be inviting Jeff again, possibly depending upon his schedule, every 3 months. And we'll be discussing different topics as well every time he comes in. If there's any, I got two questions for you, Jeff, since I got you here. One thing, I'd like to talk about it. I buy a lot of discount mortgages.
Yep.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit on it for the rest of the listeners?
Of course. So typically you're buying a discount. So in the instance, you mean you're assigning the mortgage to yourself?
No, what I do is I buy a lot of default mortgages with a lot of equity.
Oh, okay. With equity?
Yeah, with a lot of equity.
Yeah. So in that process, what happens is, and that's a great question. Navtesh, there's instances where the lender wants to get paid out sooner. So rather than going through the entire process, the lender can sell that mortgage over to Navtesh or whoever, another lender, right? And in that case, it's the assignment of the charge, and the charge would then be assigned over to the new lender.
And what kind of due diligence is required? I'm quite aware of the process, but just for our people here online, what would you say the basic due diligence they shall do before buying a discounted mortgages or mortgages?
Yeah. Sure. So obviously the basic due diligence, I would say, is title search. Now, if in the event a power of sale process has been started, you obviously want to receive a copy of the notice of sale or any default lenders. You would want to pull the credit report to see what's been on the credit report, if you have that ability to pull the credit report. You'd also want to see the original mortgage documents and mortgage commitment to see what the terms were, and also see what the lender fee was at that time, any of those details.
Excellent. Thank you. One more thing we have like to discuss, and we have been doing for many, many years. Over the period of last 40 years, I became the master of redemptions. I intend to redeem a lot of properties at the last minute. And some of them I show you all the time. How do we redeem the properties? When a piece of property goes on a power of sale on MLS, investors like us become extremely, extremely alert.
Yep.
We start snooping into it, see how much equity do they have. If there's plenty of equity, if we can find the owner, we more or less get in touch with the owner who's defaulting, or they contact us, say, listen, I am in a pickle. I got kicked out of the house. The bank have done it. Law have taken action. Property management in. Do I have an option? The answer is always yes, you have an option. And we have seen some cases where majority of the A lenders, or we say charter banks, they're much easier to deal with compared to the private lenders as well, though. So any clues or any helpful advice for our investors who would like to buy piece of properties instead of going through power sale? They like to help the current owner to redeem it.
Of course, yeah. So a lot of times what I think, so in those instances, I've helped some of my investors do the same thing. And what I'm always of the mindset is the easiest way to look at it is you're helping these people sell the property rather than them losing the property and then having them, because if the lender typically sells it, at that point, the lender, as I mentioned, is going to refer it to their realtor, is going to have property management fees or property maintenance fees, stuff like that. So most times the lenders that I work with, what I do is I tell them, approach it as in that you're helping them save the property. Now, I don't know most times if they're going to be able to keep the property payments going. Now, a smart idea in that instance is if they are, and there's enough loan to value. So it's all about the loan to value, because in that instance, what you can do is you can add the interest payments onto the mortgage. So in that instance, you don't have to worry about them making the payments, or if you want, you could do a half of a payment. So take half of the payments and make them pay half of the payment. So this way they're in the habit of paying something. Those are good suggestions to have. The other side is just having a frank conversation with them about their finances and see if they can, what's going on in their life. Maybe there's someone who's sick or something. Maybe they lost their job temporarily. Maybe they're laid off temporarily because of COVID, but they're coming back to work. Because a lot of times what happens is people don't want to have these frank conversations, or they just don't want to accept the truth. And the truth is it's better for them to sell the property and move on, save their credit, and or save the property and the money from the property than try and hold on to the property. And a lot of times they just don't have these people have the frank conversations. So most times what I tell my lenders to do is if you're going to go in that situation, get them to sign at the same time an MLS listing agreement, right? So then this way you have an MLS listing agreement already signed by them. So if in the event there is a concern, then you can put it, get it listed right away for them, and a power of attorney. So then they're putting you as the power of attorney to get that property listed and sold, right? That's what I offer as suggestions, because then this way, if there's any concerns, you don't have to worry about them not selling the property or having to go through the power of sale process. Another process is called a quick deed. So a quick deed is where you can avoid, where they automatically agree that the property can be transferred over. And what you do in this instance is we can create a transfer of title. They agree to transfer the property, that if in the event they default, we actually just transfer the property over to them. So what we do is we have the lawyer on the other side provides ILA, confirms with them that they know the terms of this, that yes, they agree that if in the event they default, the property is going to be transferred and sold. And then this way, once again, you can avoid the whole power of sale process, and it's much quicker to act, because in that case, you can transfer the property yourself and have it sold out. In that instance, these are suggestions that we use in order to have quicker actions on the property.
Excellent, excellent. That's quit claim deed, by the way. Again, I have got one question, and somebody sent me a text message asking a question. How can we utilize our RSP, self-directed RSP money, or TFSA account to place a second mortgage?
So you can do RSP mortgages, self-directed RRSP mortgages through Olympia Trust. The Olympia Trust is the one I see often. I believe there's also Effort Trust and Community Trust. So these are three providers that I know of. And what you can do is you can actually, there's a whole process. You can go on their website. It tells you the forms you need to complete. You can then take your RRSP out of your current investment and provide it to them. And then after that, you can lend the money out. I actually do that. I have my RSP money with Olympia Trust, and I also lend on private mortgages through Olympia Trust.
How about TFSA?
TFSA, same thing.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say thank you once again, Jeff. Really appreciate it for enlightening all of our investors here. And we'd like to invite you back very soon. And please hang around for a short while. And if anybody have a question, please feel free to put your question in the chat box. If you need to call him directly, it's Monday to Friday, I believe, at 519-957-1001, or info at his website. I will not dare to pronounce his name. I don't want to offend by any means. But anyway, once again, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate your time here, my friend.
Thank you. Just so you all know, I also put my personal email and my personal cell phone in the chat function. So you'll see it grabido@rabidolaw.ca. And my cell phone is actually 519-501-7721. If you need to get hold of me, I'm always available.
All right. Thank you once again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let's give a big hand to Jeff, please. Okay, moving forward. Move forward. Okay. Before we're gonna go take a quick break, we're gonna take about 5 minutes break. During this break, you're going to talk to other fellow investors, what you can do for them. And maybe the topic could be, what's the most notorious real estate deal killer raise? So we're gonna split you into different rooms. You'll be talking to maybe 5 different people during the break. The meeting is in the process of it. So about 5 minutes time, you will be put in a different break rooms, and you'll be able to chit chat openly. You can discuss anything you like. After about 5 minutes, it takes about a minute to put you in the break rooms, just for the networking purpose. And it takes about a minute to bring you back. So altogether we'll be out for 8 or 9 minutes though. So here we go. We're gonna put you into the break rooms, and please feel free to help each other. And the idea is to what? Help for other people and make sure everybody gets equal time. Thank you.
Hello, Maharaj. Ki hal je?
Sarji Hamid sir, welcome. Good afternoon, sir. You will be going into break rooms shortly, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
I missed last meeting, so
We will talk. You can please give me. You can give me a call later on. We will take care of you, my friend.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
sir.
good.
Appreciate it. All right, sir.
Thank you.
You are going in shortly into different break rooms. It takes about a minute.
And different people are in different rooms?
Yes, sir. There will be about 5 people, more or less 5 or 6 in each room.
And have you categorized them in any special way or just
No, it's
randomly?
Random. The system picks it up.
Okay.
Those who are in Brampton, Mississauga, Caledon, get ready, my friend. And those who are interested in getting all the money for free, up to 11 million bucks, hang on. A lot to share with you today.
Wow.
We also have over a couple of other guest speakers, including Lester Singh, David Memo, David Grossman, ready to rock and roll.
How's Nick?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Ah, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Good.
What's happening?
Well, it's taken off. It's just taken off. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know the market is crazy everywhere.
Yeah.
Even we were trying to put a deal together in London, Ontario, and they are having a betting bar in London.
Yeah. So Morrisburg is about an hour from here. It's right beside Upper Canada Village. And it's, it's a sleepy little river town type thing. My wife's uncle sold a small 2-bedroom on a stone foundation. They bought it a while ago for, I think 2 years ago, for $139,000. So they listed it a little while ago for $189,000, and their agent had to find out.
Hello. Hello, bhai.
And sir, they're going to different rooms, so you'll be also going to different rooms shortly.
Okay.
Let's get ready, my friend.
All right, yes, sir.
Get ready, sir. Welcome back. I hope you have a conversation or you met somebody new or you had a little conversation about whatever the topic you want to discuss. We're gonna moving forward. We're gonna be a little bit for your stimulation about your first flip in Canada. Some of you know about my flip, but I wanted to show you a couple of multi-billionaires. How do they flip? Here is the first one, Rockstar Energy Drink, billionaire Russell, flip a deal. Guess whose property was that? Aline. Who is she? The ex-wife of Tiger Woods. Is that exciting? That people at that level flip houses? Yes, they do. 15.4 million bucks. Is that a lot of money? Absolutely. Is that a public record? Yes. So these are the celebrities, or these are the very, very rich people. Flipping is not only done at lower level, it's done at very higher level at the same time. Who's my favorite flipper? Here she comes, Ellen. So she has been flipping for a very long time. She had made more money, in my opinion, in real estate than a lot of other things as well. She just sold another piece of property for $6 million more money. It's not a bad flip. So the flips works regardless whether you are a newbie or veteran or you're a celebrity. Just thought I should share with you. Hopefully that'll get you going. How to flip houses for profit. We have a next one-day training program coming in, November 21st, 11 a.m. to 4:30 or 5 p.m. In case you want to register yourself, flippingforprofit.ca on November 21st, which means next Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you happen to be in Vancouver, the time will be at 8 a.m. We have also an apprenticeship coming soon, which is on November 28th and December 5th and 6th. Those who already registered, great. Those who want to re-attend it, there are spots available. Those who want to attend it, please feel free to call us, text us 416-409-7300, and we'll be happy to send you more information though. Why join Canadian Real Estate Investors Club? The reason for it, learning, meeting, networking people, and getting a lot of knowledge, regardless. I mean, we are running this club since April of 2005. We have never, ever missed a month. We have been around, but a lot of people come in, less people came in. Those people who have become very successful, one of the reasons they are successful because they know how to network. So this is something you're going to see from time to time. These are the different speakers we're going to have from time to time. And these are the experts, and they will come and share with you their wisdom. So again, once a reminder, in case you think that you did not get into real estate yet, there's plenty of land for every Canadian. There's a 4 kilometer of land for every Canadian. So don't, you are not late. It's just a matter of time though. Moving forward, investment coaching, we are starting December 2020, only very selective handful of people. It's not for everybody. It's for those people who want to be the trenches, who would like to really, really, really want to learn in real life. It's not about, you know, blah, blah, blah on the telephone. Nothing gonna, it's more or less, more practical, putting this together. That's the coaching. It's right on when you start playing in the real field, real life coaching. It's not one of those coaching where people have to $80,000 to $100,000 and made nothing out of it. This is training is more on the ground, in the trenches, working with the deals. All right. Without the hustle, talent will only carry us so far. That's what somebody said. And I'm going to move forward. You miss 100% of the shots you do not take. Wayne Gretzky. Moving forward with this thing, next one, we're going to bring about something about mortgage, just slightly a little issue before I bring my good friend, my brother from another mother, David Grossman. Canadian mortgage payments are deferrals. What's happening with it? How many are being deferred? What exactly is happening when the thing stopped? This is a bit of an idea. And just to let you know what exactly is happening, there are about 254,000, but 250,000 Canadians are still deferring the mortgage payments, by the way. More or less altogether, about 297,000. Some of them start making the mortgage payments as of September 30th, and there are going to be defaults, as we discuss all the time. When I was attending a little meeting with David Grossman about 2 days ago, on Thursday night, the word they just used, avalanche. I call it floodgate. Floodgate have opened up. The courts now have a little bit time. The proceeding can go further, and a lot of Canadians are going to go through a very rough time. And about the time that this December, if the lockdown what happens, it may gonna make things worse. But there is opportunities out there for us as a Canadian real estate angel investors. Some people need to get out. They should get out. This is a good time. Instead of going through the process, we can help them downsize them again. We will be talking more in that December 12th meeting, quite a bit about it. But it is happening right now. So David, are you there, my friend? David Grossman? David Grossman, are you there, sir?
There, it just took me a second to unmute. It's just a little slow, but yes, I'm here.
All right, gentlemen, and the scholar, my brother from another mother, one of the best mortgage brokers in town, and he's going to enlighten us. He's going to be here every month. He's the person who helped me to launch Pre-Canada in April of 2005. And that's about 15 years ago or more. And he has been a very good friend, well-respected mortgage broker. And David, it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you very much, Navtaj, my brother from another mother, for all the kind words, and you're a very loyal guy to remember me after all these years. So it's nice to see everybody today. Navtaj always gathers a great crowd. I see some familiar places. We had some technical problems, I think, in our room. I was in a room with a few people. Maybe they were either on coffee break or went to the bathroom. I heard one person talking and he didn't hear me reply. But anyway, it was a good attempt, Navtaj, because last time we had a meeting room, it was actually quite good. And it's a great little feature that they have here on Zoom. So it is an opportunity to network, but maybe people do need to have a little break from time to time for a glass of water or whatever else. Anyway, so for this week, Navtaj has asked me to speak on a couple of things. A few things, and it's not going to be a long presentation, so try and stay awake, friends. I'll move through this quickly. I just wanted to say a few things. You know, first of all, Navtaj was asking about arranging mortgages for people who are in default. And this is a tricky thing to do, because anybody who is going to lend money, most people who are lending money, they just want to be repaid. And it's true, it may be true that there are some lenders out there who maybe run a law office, let's say, for example, and it's a good way to create legal work for themselves, because if you're going to be lending somebody who is mortgages in default, the first question that I would ask, or I would think anyone should ask, is what's going to change? The mortgage is in default. How did the property owner get to this place, and what's going to change? Because the way a lot of private lenders look at it is as though you're just taking over somebody else's headache. But if there is equity in the property, and as I said, if you have a law office, there could be other motivations for it as well. I don't know if Navtaj wants to comment on this, or if I should just move on. But
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead, Navtaj.
I'd like to share something with you.
Sure.
I got a situation here where the gentleman has a property worth have about 60% equity, and he doesn't have a job, and he's willing to prepay 1 year payment on the mortgage, and because he doesn't want to get stressed about it. He said, well, listen, in case everything goes wrong, at least I'm ready to pay upfront 1 year. mortgage payments as a part of the deal because he's getting a rough time from the bank.
Sure. Well, banks, look, banks, they don't want, for sure the banks don't want headaches. Okay. I remember many years ago, I was, when I first got into the business, I was trying to place a deal, a mortgage deal with somebody from CIBC at 30% loan to value. So much equity in the property. So why and they declined the deal. And I said, why would you decline the deal? Well, we don't want to chase people. So, you know, everybody has a different model. The banks for sure don't want to chase people. And the banks are also concerned about a little thing called reputational risk. Because when you throw somebody out of their house, senior places of worship, they don't lend on religious institutions, places of worship. They don't lend to seniors. In my view, also because there's a reputational risk, that there are products and there are solutions, and we do have lenders who will lend without any proof of income if there's equity in the property. But we're not just in the case that you just mentioned is not necessarily what we were talking about before, where you have somebody who is in default. Right? Because it's a different thing. Now, so if somebody has a good chance of recovery and there's lots of equity in their property, and let's say, you know, they've worked in the past as in a certain type of job, and now they're trying to find a job, and, you know, but any lender needs to look at really the whole story. So one, is there equity in the property? Two, if the first mortgage is in default, how did it get that way? I did a second mortgage once, very similar for the case that you said, Navtaj. It was actually for a doctor who dealing with mental health issues of his own, and he ran into default. So the first thing we had to find out from the first mortgage lender was, could we remedy the first mortgage, or were we at a point where they were just saying, no, we need to be paid out entirely? Like, could we just pay the arrears and then bring it into good standing? We found out that yes, we could. So we arranged a second mortgage on the property, and because there was lots of equity, and because we also we were putting a case together to say that this particular doctor has been getting treatment, and he's doing better now, and he's going back to work, so he should be able to service the debt. Did he end up getting better and going back to work? No, he didn't. And unfortunately, he had to sell the property 6 months later and pay off the mortgages. So it's an expensive thing to do, to arrange private mortgages and to have to pay legal fees. But if you believe in earnest that you have a good chance of getting over whatever hurdle it is, and there's equity in the property, you'll probably find a lender, and we can certainly help to find a lender who will loan on it. But, you know, these are the questions anyone would ask, right? Where is this heading? Am I going to have to throw this person out? And be prepared for it, because in some cases, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, next up, special deals. Okay, a lot of you have seen some of the rates around. I don't like to focus too much on rate, but everyone has fun with the rates, so I'll tell you what they are. You probably seen one. I've got 1.59 fixed for 5 years. I got 1.35 variable. These are insured purchases. By the way, people, that means you're buying a property. It does not apply in the case of a refinance, and it means that it's insured, which means it has less than 20% down. Lenders offer better rates when it's insured because they have lower risk if they're covered by its CMHC or one of the insurers. Self-employed mortgage, 2.99. What does that mean? That means you've got at least 20% into the deal, either as a purchase or a refinance, and no tax returns, no notice of assessments. So this is great for some self-employed people who like to report the bare minimum net income. And then when they go to the bank says, oh, show me your tax returns. Oh, you didn't make any money. Well, you just claimed a lot of expenses. Doesn't mean you didn't make any money. So with these lenders, they just ask for bank statements, commission statements. They work from the top line. They work from your top line revenue. And then we think, okay, it's reasonable. You can service this debt. You got equity. You've got okay credit, sometimes not so good credit. But they look at the cash flow from a bank statement standpoint. So that's the two we got. We have reverse mortgages. We have lines of credit in second position, starting from, with a prime lender at, around 3% or 4% and going up. So whatever you need. And then the other thing, Navtaj says, people need to take action because interest rates, there's talk about interest rates going up. Some of you may have heard. Apparently Pfizer has come up with a vaccine that is 90% effective at this time, and in the other 10% of the cases, either you grow an extra ear or maybe one of your fingers fall off. But it's 90% effective. It's encouraging news. Lester's laughing at least. I can't see anybody else's face. For all I know, everybody's on coffee break right now. Anyhow, it's tough to be a stand-up comedian mortgage broker. It's not easy. So where was I? Does anybody even know what I was talking about? No, I don't know. What did I say? Oh, rates are going up. Thank you very much, Salesh. Thank you. Interest rates are going up, so it's time to take action. So yes, I was busy telling jokes, and that's how I forgot. So what happens is, okay, when people feel confidence in the economy, they sell their bonds and they start buying up stocks. So in theory, the stock market should start going up. They pull their money out of bonds. Bond prices go down, causing the yields to go up, which causes fixed mortgage rates to go up because those rates run it. So that's kind of the sequence that happens. And so there's talk about, because bond yields have already been affected with this news, there's talk about mortgage. I haven't seen any announcements yet, but I've been hearing about it. So, but I don't think it's going to be very dramatic. Anyhow, it's unlikely that things are going to change in a very dramatic way. As Navtaj pointed out, one of the guests on a different webinar we were on the other day mentioned that there is an avalanche. The courts we're just starting to open up, just reopened, and there's a lot of cases waiting to be heard. So it'll be interesting to see, with these opposing forces of low interest rates and pressure from delinquencies and things like that, what will happen longer term. But in any event, I think in any market, there's opportunities, and whether prices are on their way up or prices are on their way down. And that's what I think this group is about. And a lot of the great people that I've met, I see some of the people's names, Frank Fernandez, Volodymyr. Volodymir's actually on twice. So he's got a couple of sessions. Kevin Cassidy, many others. I just see a few, Harsh. I just see a few names. And I appreciate always Navtaj inviting me to be a part of it. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have to slip out shortly because we have to pack. I'm moving to Wasaga Beach in 2 weeks.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have any question directly, you can ask right now. Otherwise, you can put in the chat. I want to say thank you to David. He is actually really moving to Wasaga Beach. So, where are we going next time? The summertime.
Yeah, you guys are all invited to come up to Wasaga Beach. And don't forget about me just because I'm going away. That's one thing that COVID has taught a lot of us, depending on the nature of our business, that thank God I've been able to continue to operate my business. And, people are starting to become more comfortable doing business remotely. Scanned documents are fine. People are using, I'm getting up to speed on DocuSign. I used to print things out, and now I'm using it to, trying to become more paperless. It's amazing how things have really changed. It's hurt some people, created opportunities for others. So I'm still around, always be coming to Toronto frequently. I have kids here. The kids will come up when they want. And I'm always around and ready for your calls. If anyone has any mortgage questions, you've got my phone number there. And look forward to future sessions. Grateful again, Navtaj, for the opportunity.
All right. Thanks, David. Once
Thank
again,
you.
the David's phone number is 416-876-2031. David, the Grossman. Don't forget that. And he's going to be here next meeting on December 12th. Thank you again, David.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so
All
much,
right,
everybody.
once
Okay,
again.
bye for now.
Yeah, hang on for a while in the chat box, please. Thank you. Next thing we're going to bring is what the bets are placing. But this is something. David, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, good. I'd like to show a little thing about in case you are renewing your mortgage with the bank, please talk to David. There are a lot of hidden charges. Do not just go ahead and sign any renewal with the bank. Please talk to Dave Grossman, any other mortgage agent, because you're going to save thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. I'll not go too much into it, but I suggest you speak to professionals. Do not sign any renewal from any bank, especially all 6 banks. And there's a reason for it. And then we will not discuss over here. If you have personal information, you want to talk to David or another person, whoever you trust the most, who's been doing mortgages for a long time, not a brand new person, who knows what the difference is.
You know, and the other thing is there's hidden charges, so it's always good to shop around. The other thing is I often get calls from people. They say, look, I'm looking to take equity out of my house. What are my options? I said, well, tell me about your first mortgage. They said, oh, well, I just renewed it for 5 years last month. So now they're pretty much locked in for 5 years. So if you have equity in your house and you're part of a great group like this group, and you can potentially get equity out at 2 or 3% to start looking at flip opportunities and different things, then talk to me before you lock in for 5 years, because it can be very expensive to get out sometimes.
Okay, how expensive? Here's the numbers. If you're renewing for 1 year, it costs you about $6,000 more. If you're locking in for 7 years, about $90,000. Do not just simply sign the paper when the bank says, please sign the renewal. Don't. Look into options. Do whatever you is the best, but make sure that you know your options. $6,000 to $80,000, that's a lot of money. Simply by having one conversation with a mortgage professional. It's all about the money, dollar and cents. You know, how long does it take to save $6,000 or $80,000? I hope you learn a lot, and there's a reason for it. That's why we bring these professionals who are experienced, who are very well reputable, or a lot of great reputation. Intention is what? Be a wise man. All right, moving forward with the next one. I like slide. I think I might have something to. One more thing, RMG mortgages, cashback mortgages. Sorry, David. Are you aware of the RMG mortgages?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have to look at your numbers, right? I mean, it's like there's a cost to that, right? Like when they, you know, if you have not enough down payment to get in, or very little, and then you're afraid you're going to be house poor and not have money to fix a furnace or a roof or buy a new sofa to sit on, then cashback mortgage is something to look at. But I've looked at numbers in the past, and they charge higher rates, so you get 3% cashback. But if you're paying an extra point per year on a 5-year mortgage, well, that's, you gotta look at the numbers. But if you're tight for cash, it can be a real savior.
Well, it is an opportunity for you in one way to get into the market or hang or wait on the sideline, and there's a cost to it. And make sure you spoke to somebody just like David Grossman, or your professional mortgage broker or an agent, and make sure they're able to give you all the facts and figures before you decide. I know there are a lot of people who want to get into real estate, but they don't want to wait for next 2 or 3 years. They don't have down payment. this is another option for you. Again, this option is not for investors. It's only for principal residents. It works very well for those people who have high income but have zero savings. But again, be aware of the fact that you will be paying a bit more, but you are able to get into the market much faster. All right, David, thank you once again. Really appreciate it, my friend. These were the things
Thank you.
all right, I put you on the spot. Now, next person we're gonna bring it in is our friend Lester Singh. He's a very experienced real estate mortgage broker himself, a full-time realtor, been known for many, many years. Lester, are you there, sir? Unmute yourself, my friend. Lester?
How about now? Can you hear me?
We can hear loud and clear, my friend.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks, Navtaj, to give me the opportunity in this small slot to say a few words about real estate. I'm drawing from my research experience, really. And first thing I want to talk about, I just did in the last month 2 listings. And I want to talk about list price versus selling price. One of the strategies that a lot of realtors use now to get their home sell for more than what is expected is to get more buyers. So one of the property I listed it, I was estimating, I told the sellers it will be around 850 mark. So we listed it way below 785. Now it's not market price, teaser price. And there are so many buyers or agents that are gullible to show the property. So I usually get lots of traffic. And I allow about 4 or 5 days for this activity to happen. Most of the time we prep the property so it appeals to the emotions of the people. And yep, they go in the property and said, this is what I want. So on one of the property, and another thing what most realtors do today, if you are listing your property, they will use the online emailing. Now, while that is good for all parties and maybe COVID and everything, but I think the last month it was kind of okay. They just locked it down now. But I decided I'm going to be present at the listing, the property. So by doing that, the reason why I did that was you allow the buyers to see how many offers there are. When they're online, they don't see that. So you don't activate their emotions. So as they see, they come and ask you, the next agent will come in. Oh, I see XYZ. They're waiting in the cars out there. So they're also talking to their buyers in the street, and they're all getting, oh, I want that property. I really want it. And I had a few offers, and this agent came in with an offer not too far off from, the list price, but I give them the opportunity to better the offer. All the agents, I give them the opportunity. Some of them came back and they talked to me and they said, you know what, don't waste your time, get lost. And they're gone. But there I have one person came back from 785, he came in with 900. That was a $50,000 more than my seller expected. And this is happening every day out there. Another one I just sold again, the same strategy I use. In 5 days, I had over 60 showings. These people come from all over, Markham, Scarborough, Toronto, Brampton. Same strategies there, lower price. And some of the agents think the list price, I got some offers with the list price. However, in this one, I had about 5 agents came up asking if they can put a bully offer. I said, you're welcome. I just have to let the other agents become aware that there's a bully offer. And they try to negotiate with me, and I will tell them, that wouldn't cut it, and they disappear. So again, we had this one, we listed, it's a first time buyer home. We listed for, it's worth around, I would say 630 in the marketplace. We put it for 595. We got all these people on the offer day. We got the owner, not much more, but 30,000 more. But 30,000 is a lot when someone is short of cash. So that owner walk away with 30,000 more. So the point what I'm trying to make here is when you look at the MLS and you're thinking that these are the prices you're going to pay plus or minus, you have to know what the market value for these properties. And unfortunately, I find there are a lot of rookie agents out there thinking the list price is what they're going to sell for. Why I know that? They send offers for that price. And I just laugh. And immediately I will call them up and I ask them, gee, you must be not be an agent in the neighborhood, or you are a rookie. I tell them up front. I said, did you check? They don't even check the comparables in the neighborhood. So I just want to let these fellow investors know when you're looking at properties out there that the list price doesn't mean anything close to the selling price. And it can be a distortion in the marketplace that property are selling for 20%, 25% over asking. Not true. It's a market employ. So that's on the day in, day out in the marketplace now that we are seeing, and with inventory less than a month in some areas, it's very tight, very tight. There are buyers out there want to buy because of low interest. They're renting so they can move in there. So it's going on. And I don't think it will stop. COVID or whatever COVID is not going to stop. This market is going to keep on going up. That is one thing I want to bring my fellow investors awareness to. Second, I want to talk about another part is where we, some investors, the difference between speculation and investing. There are markets I could have bought, like downtown condo, and you buy these condos and you have to subsidize it, meaning you have to put X amount, can be $100 up to $500 per month. And why would you do that? Really, you're speculating, you're not investing. You're hoping the price appreciate a lot more than that in a year or two, and you flip it. So people do that. But the true part of real estate is investing. For example, I just sold one of my investment property, closing at the end of November, bought in 2000, paid 200 for it, 30,000 down payment, sold for 890,000. That is investing over a long period of time. Now, some people follow that strategy. However, Navtaj, I think, have a better method. He said at one time, this is outdated method. However, it's still for someone who doesn't have too much time, not too much knowledge. They can buy a townhouse or whatever is it and hang on there. And there are some who want to, they call it the frequency of money. You want to turn over your capital maybe 2 or 3 times a year and you make a profit. That's a different strategy. But that's kind of investing versus speculation. I just want to mention that. And that's it for today.
Thank you, Lester. Really appreciate it, my friend. Let's say thank you, Lester.
The trenches.
And now we are going to bring something we call breaking news that most of you are anxiously waiting for. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
All right. We're going to be talking about something what's happening in the market. We're going to be brief to the point, and we're going to have some little bit fun here, though. The fun part is, okay, learning about wholesaling real estate. Just to let you know whatever Lester said recently, about a few seconds ago, one of our students here in the class, I won't say his name, got a piece of property on October 1st this year for $200,000, had to do fix it, and has been sold for $515,000. So $315,000 in about 63 days. How's that one sound, Lester?
That's marvelous. That's a velocity of money there.
Thank you, sir. That is property is on 183 Auburn Avenue in Hamilton. I will be discussing more, and we have other examples of similar properties. But again, just to let you know, you don't have to wait 10 years, 20 years or something. Of course, you should look into investing for long-term basis on selected properties. But on the other hand, if you can make a quick buck now, it's okay. And there are a couple of tricks of the trade. We'll be discussing it during the apprenticeship program. Should be buying it under your name, under your corporation. People have a lot of misconceptions about it. My question to you, all of you, is very simple. Would you like to wait to make money 20 years down the road, or 2 weeks down the road, or 2 months down the road? If you want to learn a lot more, come to our one-day apprenticeship about how to wholesale Canadian real estate. It'll be on 21st of November, next Saturday, 11 to 4. Something people talk about it. Now we are running out of the books, but again, I still have a few books. What is in this books? Why we sell it for $250? It's worth a lot of money. It's worth investment. You don't want to wait. You don't want to invest $250. You'd rather lose 30,000, or would you like to lose 11 million? Choice is yours. Now, why do we say that, and what are the opportunities? Here we are. Region of Peel. My second home unit renovation program is on a go. They can give you $30,000. Totally forgivable, interest-free. If you want to upgrade your second unit, if you have a basement apartment in your house, or you're rented out at an affordable rate, this program is an incredible program. It's not that many things available right now. Only 57 people will get $30,000. Now, is it worth it to come and attend this meeting to save $30,000 to become annual membership of $350? Absolutely. Can you share this information with somebody who lives in the area? So this is applicable in Brampton, Mississauga, Caledon, Region of Peel, $30,000 forgivable to create a second unit. If you already have existing unit, you want to modify it and get it legal. This money is for you. 57 new affordable units in the Region of Peel. Is that exciting? To me, every time I read about it, 30,000 is a lot of money, my friend. I don't care who you are, what you are. For me, it's still a lot of money. Let's get to the next level. Those who are at a different level, who have multiple units, who want to get make 11 million bucks in a day or so, 11 million bucks. But this is not only for City of Hamilton. I just pulled an example for City of Hamilton. This money is available all across Canada. $2 billion has been set out. Whose money is that? It's your money. Canadian taxpayers' money. You pay taxes. This money does not come from your pocket. It's for your benefit. If you are not aware of it, you lose it. Okay, here's the second one. Are you guys ready for it? Oh, this is something I'll have you. Okay, I'll have to come back. Toronto. Why do you want to invest in Toronto? Why the property taxes are the lowest in the province of Ontario? Here's the example. You buy $500,000 property in Toronto, the property tax is about $3,000. You buy the same property in Windsor, Ontario, the property tax is about $9,000, 3 times. What is the tax rate? Is 0.6 versus 1.8. 3 times. $500,000 property. It's cheaper to live in Toronto. Is intend to do much better for you. Again, people intend to shy away, but here's just that I should share with you. Micro condos, small condos are in trouble. Anything under less than 500 square feet, too much inventory. I don't care what realtor tells you. Downtown Toronto, there is a huge inventory built up. Why? Nobody's renting it. Very hard to find a tenant. Airbnb is out. The rent does not justify the cost. Is this inventory going to build up? Absolutely, still building up. When it will be out? Nobody knows. When the COVID is over, when the new migrants start coming in, we call new Canadians, the new students coming in. Right now, the absorption rate, how the market can take in, it is much, much lower, especially condos. People don't mind living on the houses. They want to have a backyard, but they're coming out of the pigeonholes. People want to say, okay, I can work from home. I don't need to live in a pigeonhole. I don't need to live in a small condo. By the way, those condos, which are more than 500, they're still okay to some degree. The prices are not rising. The rents are declining. Prices and rents are declining in micro condos. So here's the opportunity for investors. If you come across a good deal, less than 500 square feet, you think it can make sense, maybe this is the good time to look into it. Again, it's not for, just be aware of it. There are a lot of people out there who bought it for speculation. They don't have money to close the deal. Every day we get called. Some people want to still hang on to it. Some people are defaulting it. Again, this is entirely up to you based upon your exit strategy. Now, a lot of realtors are refusing to take a listing now. A lot of realtors are refused to take a listing because the condominium is less than 500 square feet. They say, you know what, I don't want to lose my reputation. I don't want to waste my time. It is not going to sell because the seller's expectation is much, much higher though. So here's the deal. Who wants 10.8 million bucks? What is it for? City of Hamilton is offering you, they want you to create a units, 30 units. They don't care if you're rehabbing a building, an abandoned building, or you're creating a new one. $10.8 million is available. The money comes directly from the federal because this is for what? Affordable housing. $10.8 million only in one city. How do I know all these grants? It's in the books. So say all they're saying, quickly develop new modular multi-unit rentals, convert non-residential buildings. Can you convert? Yes, you can. What's happening to retail? Retail is going dead. Retail may gonna become history. What happened to those buildings which are retail? Can you convert them into multi-units? Yes. How about rehabbing it? How about the abandoned building? There are quite a few of them around. All you have to do is create 30 units. If you look at the cost to create 30 units for 10 million bucks, that's incredible, incredible, incredible. I hope you are making a note. And if you do not have the book, I'm not selling a book, but at the same time, I'm making you aware, what are you missing? This is strictly the group to share the knowledge, share the information. We don't make information. We just simply, we have information for us. We share the information only. We are not information provider, but we share information with you. Second thing they talk about Hamilton. What is happening in Hamilton? We happened to be in Hamilton last month, and just to get to know exactly a little bit more about Hamilton. What is a secondary suite? They call SDU, secondary dwelling unit. So what is it? He says, well, based upon Tim Lee, he is the committee he mentioned, it contains a kitchen, one bathroom, living space, and independent of main dwelling unit. That's away from what? From the basement. What are we talking about? Tiny houses. Are we talking about other stuff? Yes, we are. So right now, there are two cities which are coming up. Number one is Kitchener. Number two is Hamilton. You will be able to add another unit in the back end of your property, on top of your garage, beside the garage, And this could be an opening we have been waiting for. Just imagine you own a piece of property in Kitchener. You already have a basement apartment, and you're able to put another tiny house in the backyard. What's going to happen to your cash flow? Incredible. It's much cheaper to build than to acquire. Properties are not cheaper. For those investors who are looking for a big cash flow, that could be opening for you. What exactly is second dwelling unit? Here's a definition. Please do me a favor, if you happen to have a camera or your cell phone, take a picture of this slide. You are welcome to Google it, but this is better if you feel whatever it is. This part of it, it can be addition to the house, and that's not a bad idea either, but I prefer the word tiny house. Why? The unit can be much smaller, and I understand to some degree that these modular homes or tiny houses can be built fairly cheap. I noticed that there are two people who have built one in London, Ontario, other one in Windsor, but their cost was fairly higher, in my opinion. Then again, it justifies the cash flow because they don't have to buy the land is already there. But I feel like they have spent a little bit more money than they should have. Don't forget, it's still rental units. You don't have to provide A class. You have to have enough, which cover more than basic needs though. Moving forward, mortgage deferrals are coming down. But again, as you see the slide earlier with Jeff, defaults are rising. Now, not too sure what Doug Ford is going to do, what the provincial or federal government is going to do when the defaults start hitting. The courts have opened up. If there's another lockdown, are they going to give extra break to the homeowners? Because a lot of homeowners who are defaulting mortgage payments are struggling. And since the market is okay, some of them are able to sell the properties a bit faster. Recently, I would say last 10 days, we got called from people who want to sell their property. And they wanted the property to be sold before, let's say, end of the November or so. And we were hoping to get a discount. Not really. Somebody else jumped in and the property gets sold. There was one condo, I believe in Mississauga. It was listed on the market for $578, did not sell. And intention offer was to go $425 to $450. And before we are having a conversation with the owners, to the best of my knowledge, the owner was able to find somebody else to take the deal for $530. So another deal in Ajax, same scenario. The guy called in, maybe we're just using our offer to leverage. And it's a small house, maybe 2,100 square feet. We were offering, I believe, around $750 or something. I believe that guy had an offer for $920 or $820, not too sure of it, but he just utilized thing. Knowing the fact that, that person is in trouble and not able to share information with you, but again, people are in trouble, but somehow they're able to find buyers, which is giving them a good chance to. Here is something, where are these defaults? Again, I hate to bring it in, but I'd like to share with you, Ontario is very, very healthy compared to two provinces. Territories are in trouble always. Saskatchewan, Alberta are still struggling. Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and Manitoba, a lot of these things are ahead of us, including Quebec and New Brunswick. And it's important that we realize that. And one more thing about, let's talk about construction jobs.
So a lot of countries to be able to go to, but somebody would take advantage of it. They'll be building big sheds on there.
Would you please mute yourself? Thank you. Construction jobs are still down, by the way, 120,000, even though construction is on fire. Right now, if you are trying to find a general contractor or any contractor, it could be tough luck for you. But again, the construction is not slowing down by any means. somehow, whether it is, but we still have not all the jobs back here. A lot of people are still hurting, whether we like it or not. This is $11 billion. This is mostly done during the time when we go through what we have gone through. So just be aware that for next 7 to 10 years, there's going to be a lot of construction. There'll be these things going to start happening, whether it's a new relief line, which is $11 billion, another line from Finch Station to the Richmond for $7 billion, or other similar infrastructure changes. They're going to create a lot more jobs. Now, one thing, just be aware of it, the prices may or may not going to go up or down as much, but the demand is going to be there. Now, we do not know when this vaccine, how long it'll take to be effective, is whether it fly or not, when we all going to get it, what will be the sequence, how those who don't believe in it, and when whole this COVID-19 going to be over. This is something else, it's still a gray area, but one thing for sure, if you are aligning yourself strategically for the long-term basis, just be aware where these projects are going to be. If you acquire any property close to these projects, the chances are your property can multiply by its value. Forget about appreciation. Forget about appreciation. It's the multiplication. Wherever the infrastructure changes are, whether it's a new highway coming in, whether it's a byway coming in, or new stations coming up, whether it is LRT, it is going to have a dramatic effect on the value of your property. Check before you invest. This is something from Ontario Security Commission, by the way, in case somebody asking you, hey, should invest with me, check it out. If check before you invest.ca, Ontario Security Commission, right now, there are all people offering you, do this thing with me, work with me, or invest your money with me. My recommendation, talk to your attorney first, and check before you invest.ca, and check it out if that company is okay. There are a lot of companies, in my opinion, are excellent companies. But for your own sake, for your own peace of mind, check before you invest.ca. Check it out there, please. Landlord Credit Bureau. This is something we always talk about it. Landlordcreditbureau.ca. I know most of you are landlords. If you have not joined it, join it. It will save you tons of headache and money. Once again, landlordcreditbureau.ca. Just check it out, though. Apprenticeship I mentioned earlier is coming end of November, 28th, 29th of November, December 5th and 6th. That will be the last apprenticeship online. If you are planning on attending it, let us know. If you want to re-attend it, please give us a call as soon as possible so we can get cracking though. What isn't contained? Again, I will skip this one. David Memo, we're going to bring him in. David, are you there, sir? David Memo. David Memo, are you there? I don't see him. Anybody can relate to it if David is online? Anybody, please help me here. David, are you there?
Voice is too low, Navtaj.
My voice is too low?
Voice is too low.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I'll speak a little louder. How's that?
I don't think he's online, Uncle.
All right, thank you, Mina. All right, so David is the gentleman who's a realtor. He is actually building his own house. Quite busy man, but let's review something about him. So this is the areas where you want to invest, wherever is green. In Toronto, if you want to take a quick picture, please do that. Anything which is green, these are the areas you can buy a house less than $1 million. 700,000 to $1 million, or sorry, up to $1 million. This is mostly in Scarborough area or west of or western Toronto area. But there are certain pockets which are still okay. And if you want to buy a house between $1 and $2 million, that's a little red area, but not dark red. Any property in the central Toronto. Now, this is more or less Yonge Street and Bayview, Finch area. If you notice that, this is the most expensive houses. Again, these are the areas, if you're looking to flipping it, if you're looking for rental property, which could be affordable, which can be able to pay the rent, where you are able to go in, maybe turn into basement apartment, into in-law suite, and so on. Toronto is still a good investment because some of the colleges are in Scarborough. Some of the colleges are in the west, in the Humber College. York University is a totally different ballgame, but again, because of LRT and the subway, people don't want to go to expensive areas. They try to avoid it, especially if you're rentals. So these are the areas, in case you want to know, from Gila Clinton, Woburn, Bendale, Rexdale Kipling, Dorset Kennedy Park. Now, if you look at very carefully about these prices, or this area's prices, this is an average prices for a detached house. Can you do it better with the semi-detached? Yes, you can. And be aware of it that these things are, when you start talking to your realtors, they might be able to help you to find a bit better deal though. Toronto's market watch, let me just give you a quick what's happened in the last month. What is exactly happening in the last month? If you notice, the sales are up by 25%. This is not the sales of November, these are the sales of October 2020. The sales are up by 25%. Listings are also up by 36%. Active listings are also up by 12.6%. Average price is up by 13.7%. What is happening? Properties are selling much faster compared to last year, and average price is definitely higher. Now let's talk about the detached, semi-detached, and 905. There's a little magic here. If you are looking to buy a house, it's very expensive in area code 416. It's reasonable at 905. Condos used to be, Toronto are very expensive. 905 was the cheaper. Now what's happening now because of recently, what's happening right now because Airbnb, tourism, new immigrants, students are unable to come in. Things are switching. So this is not a bad idea. Those who want to do some quick flips, you should look into Toronto condos. By the way, if you place an ad that you're looking to buy a condo, a micro condo in Toronto, don't be surprised that you get tons of calls. And out of 10, 20 calls, you may gonna get one good call. Maybe it's worth it to flip it. It may gonna take a little longer to flip a condo in Toronto than a house. But again, it's worth it. At least you can get to practice it and you get to see and feel it. You may not gonna find that many condos in 905 where people are desperate to sell. But definitely there's desperation building up in the city of Toronto for the micro condos. Prices are down, rentals are down, people are hurting, investors who bought it for speculation, who have to close the deals, are unable to close the deals. And guess what? There's a lot more inventory coming up. If you're thinking to buy it for long-term basis, if you're able to take care of it next 2 years, an empty apartment, empty condo, maybe half-price condo, maybe you're not getting the market rent, maybe it's for you. But just be aware, cheap does not mean it's going to make you money. But if you have a long-term plan, yes, it can be good for you. A little bit about the sales. If you look at the sales compared to this year to last year, the sales are quite up. I mentioned earlier, the prices are up, and these are the incredible of 2020. If you notice that, usually we have the May is the best month ever, but this was not the best. What happened? Worst month was April of this year, and now the sales are up. September was a very good month comparatively, the prices and the sales. But again, you know what? It was about $500 only sales difference. So from onward, July, August, September, October, and November, I think the price is going to continue to rise. That's my opinion only. Doesn't mean it's always right or wrong. And the summer might gonna slow down. Even in November, we're gonna slow down. But again, there are opportunities out there. There are people who are, I hate to utilize the word greedy sellers, but they are greedy because they're able to get it. And one thing which I have a little difficulty with, and this is my personal opinion, that here's my question to all of you, and I want all of you to answer it in the chat. Do you think it's ethical for a listing broker to list a property knowingly below market value? Is that ethical? Not, is the marketing strategy is great. I'm questioning about the ethics only. And I know it works in your favor, it works for the seller, but is it ethical? Why would you list a piece of property purposely below market value? I just want to have a little fun here. I want them to give me a little bit of feedback purposely. Just to want to give me a couple of, I don't want to give a low shot, but hey, your opinion. My question is it ethical? That's it. It's a great marketing tool. I agree with you. But the question is about ethics though. All right. Moving forward, next one. These are the sales from last year, from last 10 years. What's happening in the market? I know everybody want to chat quickly. And these are the sales. And just to remind you, once upon a time in Toronto, you were able to buy the house for $650, $2,000. That was 1974. And if you look before the boom began, the average house price was $300,000, $335,000, about $300,000 since 2003. And from I would say good 20 years, the market is going up and up and up. We have a little blip here, there, blimp here, a little here, there, but nothing major. The question sometimes people ask when there's going to be a crash. Very typical question. The crash can only happen when interest rates are higher. Here's some good news, by the way. I forgot to share. Good news is that Oshawa is going to start building new trucks. So is the Windsor. So these plants will not get cracking till August of 2021. Both of them, and province of Ontario invests a lot of money to create 22,000 more jobs in Oshawa, and there's going to be a ripple effect. So Oshawa will be a good bet. So is the Windsor though. All right. We're going to wrap up the meeting shortly. Before we wrap it up, I want to say thank you. And the next meeting is going to be on December 12th. Now, those who like to have a chit chat with me, we're going to hang around here, or we are going to give you into 3 or 4 different break rooms. So in case you want to chit chat with among other people, I want to say thank you once again. Thank you for attending. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to see you on December 12th. Those who are planning to attend the one-day workshop, it'll be next Saturday, November 21st from 11 to 4:30 p.m. flippingforprofit.ca to get your ticket. Our apprenticeship is coming soon, which is on November 28th, 29th, December 5th, and 6th, online 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's the apprenticeship program, and the next meeting is December 12th. I want to say thank you once again. I want to say thank you each and every guest speaker who have been here. I want to thank all of you being here, and I hope you have a very good day. And we're going to break into a little bit rooms for networking. At the same time, anybody have any questions, feel free to ask me now, please.
Thank you, Nav. It was great.
Welcome. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
They're all breaking into different rooms right now as you speak.